Position.
Dancing, dancing.
Hey, we're going on. We're going on.
Hi, Avery. We love you.
Hi. Oh, you guys, welcome Sunday night, 6 o'clock.
Sundays at 6. When Chad hits the button, we go live.
We're on.
Even if I'm in the middle.
She's just dancing. She's just doing what she does.
Dancing. I don't dance very well.
We're hanging out, doing our thing.
TikTok.
How are you guys doing? I'm glad you're here. We're back home. We're in our normal
This is our home
setup.
in Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's great. I believe that we have a good connection.
We're
still representing our Celebrate Recovery shirts.
Yep.
Straight out of denial.
Come Rejoice Summit.
Yeah, that was the online summit. Phenomenal.
It was good.
I think it's still, you can still
I think you can still get it.
Maybe this might be the last week or the end date. Not sure.
We should know that.
At any rate, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I celebrate recovery from the grief of divorce, poor relationship choices, and the consequences of those choices. I still struggle with not being able to manage the outcome. I wish there was a COVID end date, or at least some sort of chaotic end date, and it's not. It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight.
It's crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
My name is
Angela. My name is Angela.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. I struggle with drugs, alcohol, lust, food issues, control. Man, I think I could go on and on and on and on. What is that other one? Bitterness? You were telling me something earlier I had problems with. In a good way. I agree with her.
Bitterness and resentment.
Yeah. And my name is Chad.
And a wife that calls out your bitterness and resentment.
I don't struggle with that as much. But go ahead. Hi, my name's Chad.
Hi, Chad.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
This is a safe place.
I'm glad we're here.
Where only your spouse will tell you you're getting it wrong. Participants in CR
I tell you sometimes too, I think.
It's okay. It's totally fine.
I apologize.
All right. We are back and ready. We just got back from taking a break. We were at the beach for a while. It was really nice. Now here we are. We did not get COVID while we were away. We wore masks.
Feel great. No temperature or nothing.
No cough.
I got a little bit of sun though.
We both did. I feel like we have lots of good color. Yeah. It's been really good. All right, we'll do some quick announcements. If this is your first time, welcome. Seems a little bit crazy, but that's Chad and Angela are Changela. We're just ourselves, and we do this live expression of our Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church Sundays at 6, so that we can keep our community kind of going. I know in March, a long time ago. Is that
sort of.
We stopped meeting in person for the safety of everyone in our community, and we haven't obviously reconvened yet. We don't really know when we're going to get to do that. Yeah. We're thinking hopefully someday. But in the meantime, we're bringing you live CR kind of every Sunday night at 6 o'clock, no matter where we are. We did it about a month ago from Colorado. We did it last week from Louisiana. Here we are back in Arkansas.
I want to do a quick shout out just to people that are maybe our teachers, or your job is dependent on what's going to happen with the government and COVID. I feel bad for you guys. That's hard. Tough.
No
connect with people. It's just hard, man.
Yeah.
So I just was reading some stuff on that. I'm like, my heart goes out to that. I don't know. But anyway, but we don't know what we're doing either.
Yeah, I feel like recovery is hard enough if all the other structures are in place. But right now, everything we have relied on, school is something that has been a pretty steady thing that we can rely on to send our kids to. That is a structure in our culture, in our communities that we rely on. And it is a mess right now. And especially in Northwest Arkansas, it was going to do one thing, and they just kind of did a switch up, change up, and now families are trying to figure out what that looks like. And
presto changeo.
It's been really hard. And I feel like similar to recovery, when people start in recovery, you can see if somebody is just like, I'm going to strive and I'm going to get my healing in.
Make it happen.
Yeah, we call it white knuckling it. For the first 3 months, they're doing their best. And that's how I think COVID started. For the first 3 months, it was like March, April, May, June, we were there. And then it was like July, August, oh my gosh, we're rolling into September, and it still hasn't changed. And so now people are having to go, man, how do we just live the healthiest life we can and try to put some structure into this chaotic time and do our best and self-care well, and try to connect with our families in a healthy way and make the best decisions for our children and our families. It can be really, really hard. And so you're in for a treat tonight. This is part 2 of our 5-part series that Chad kind of put together 2 weeks ago. We did the first part, which was barriers, setting up barriers to your recovery to kind of make it more efficient. Tonight we're going to talk about community and why community is so important. For us, we
Yeah.
found even this online community has been really great. I do want to say, if you're new, again, if you're watching, it'll say that you're watching. And if you comment, the comments won't be anonymous. But if you want to watch anonymously or confidentially, like Celebrate Recovery is known for, you can watch at the end of the hour once it goes turns into a recorded video on live stream, or you can watch our YouTube link. That's another way to watch confidentially and anonymously where nobody sees that you're watching. We still would love for you to, and we send those links out on the Monday email. So Monday. I use the word Monday loosely there.
The weekly
email goes out
maybe
sometime
Wednesday or
sometime in the week.
maybe Thursday.
At any rate, if you are not a part of a church, this particular Celebrate Recovery is affiliated with New Heights Church in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we are not meeting in person as a church either. We have a great online presence. Sunday mornings at 9. You can check us out at New Heights Church. But this coming, actually 2 weeks from now, August 23rd, Sunday morning, we're having an outdoor service. Bring your lawn chair at the Boys and Girls Club. We've done one every so often, and it's been a great turnout to just kind of get people somewhat together. Everybody's social distancing. You sit with your people that you've been social distancing with, and so that's something if you're really desperate and want to be in a worship service and in a good service outside in the morning at the Boys and Girls Club, August 23rd, you can check.
What time is it? 9 or 10?
9 o'clock.
9 a.m. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, well, we could look too, but I think you're right.
At any rate.
Well, great. Sweet.
That's all my announcements and our ramblings.
No,
all right,
that's great.
Are we going to do the 12 steps this week?
That's what we're going to do.
Okay. We were doing the 8 principles for a while. Now we've switched it up, and now we're doing the 12 steps. So
remember, you're looking at the one on the right.
That one. Camera left, camera right, camera left. Just kidding.
Camera right.
Okay, I'm going to go first with step number 1. We admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors and that our lives had become unmanageable. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me. That is in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7:8.
Oh, I said 8.
Oh, is that 8 or 18?
No, it's 18. Sorry. You're right. Step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For it is God who works in you to will and act in order to fulfill his good purpose. Philippians 2:13.
Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Romans 12:1. I'm not reading that right. I apologize.
It's all right. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. Lamentations 3:40.
Oh,
40.
40. Just, I keep glancing back and forth. I'm getting confused.
Look to the right. Look to the right.
Okay, step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. James 5:16.
Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up. James 4:10.
Step 7. We humbly asked him to remove all of our shortcomings. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9.
I'm going to tell a story after this.
Okay.
Step 8. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Luke 6:31.
31. After this,
we're not trying to. After this whole thing, we got to get through
story
this.
time with Chad coming after step 12. Meanwhile, step 9. We make a direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Therefore, if you're offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them. Then come and offer your gift.
Luke 6:31. Step 10. We continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, we promptly admitted it.
Promptly admit you're wrong. That's a good.
So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. 1 Corinthians 10:12. Man, there's a lot of things to click through.
11. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out.
Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly. Colossians 3:16. Step 12. Having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourself, or you may also be tempted. Galatians 6:1. All right, we got through that. That's pretty good. Good job, Ange. No, I was just thinking about it. Like, I was at a Celebrate Recovery one time. I'm not gonna name names. But it was some leaders, and they were standing there, and they were completely like just making up the numbers, like 48-39. And like making each other laugh, and it just reminded me of it because we weren't making them up, like we weren't doing it as a joke, but it was like 13, no 31,
Must have been
and it just made
RCR,
me laugh.
because
So I
that
kind of was
seems like
laughing
something
the
that I
whole
would
time about that. I didn't mean to be
Okay.
sidetracked. I apologize.
All right, now is when we kick it over to the Crosstown Band, and this time it actually is just across town. It's not across the country,
Yeah.
which is great. So let's see. I'm gonna think. I haven't seen it, so
Wait.
I'm thinking there's like a summer theme. That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know, but we've got, if they want chips, we got to say something.
Oh,
about
I
that.
keep forgetting.
Don't forget
yes,
that.
good. Thank you. By the
Yeah.
way, did you hit record for YouTube?
I did hit record. Look
Oh,
at me.
high five!
I did it right.
Chad, you're getting it right.
1 out of 3.
There you go.
Doing good.
If you have something to celebrate, this is the celebrate part of our Celebrate Recovery. So if you have 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, if you have 3 months, 6 months, or if you have a year or multiple years, we would love to celebrate with you if you're willing. You can if you feel comfortable putting what you're celebrating. If you only want to just put that you're celebrating, go ahead in the comments and write 30 days or 6 months or whatever it is so we can give you a thumbs up. Also, we would love to mail you a chip. In this time when we're not meeting, we still have chips and we could send those to you. They're not magic, but they are like a great token of what you're doing or what you're surrendering. I like to put the date on my blue chip for sure so that I can remember when I'm supposed to be celebrating or at least including people in the process. We include a lot of people in our process at Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
Why not include people in the Celebrate part also? Let us know what your surrender date is or what your sobriety date is. We'd love to celebrate with you.
Celebration chips. Here we go.
Now the Crosstown Band.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy, holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are. Fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you, Jesus. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy, holy. There is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and and I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken, and I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. And holy, there is no one like you, there is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder, show me who you are, and fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me. And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Grander earths quake before, moved by the sound of his voice. The seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even though my eyes can't see. This mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well. It is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in waves and winds still know his name. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and winds still know his name. So let go, my soul, and trust in him. The waves and winds still know his name. The waves and winds still know his name. It is well. with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name.
Man, thank you, Justin. You always
Well
do
done.
a great job. I was just sitting here thinking, I'm like, and these are Chad's random thoughts, but I'm like, if you guys are watching this and you're,
Chad's random thought.
he puts a lot of effort in and takes a lot of time to do it. I mean, if you get a chance to tell him thanks, we need to say thanks to him because he does a lot. He spends a
He
lot
cares
of time
a
on
lot.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and adding the lyrics and all that. And I was also thinking, man, sing along if you're at home. I know maybe it seems weird or whatever to be singing to your phone, but I mean that's why the lyrics are there. So take the time to worship, and we can kind of collectively worship together in some way. It's funny.
We sing.
Yeah.
We're over here singing with them
Yeah,
the whole
so
time. It's good.
I want to encourage you to do it because
Yeah.
there's something about singing the words and kind of engaging in that way that it really is, I guess, worshipful. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's
for
obvious,
sure.
but
I
anyway,
love that song.
yeah, I love it too.
That phrase, "the waves and wind still know your name," is really, really powerful. I think there are times when I feel like it's pretty chaotic, and we're all in the middle of the storm. And
Yeah.
I was reading actually to Avery out of the Storybook Bible the other day, and we were just reading the one where Jesus is asleep in the boat, and he comes out and he says, "Be still," and it says, "The waves and wind obeyed him." And I thought, God's in control. We might not feel like He is all the time, but He is in control and sovereign, and trusting Him is sometimes hard, but the waves and wind still know His name.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Even-
that he knows mine.
We could talk.
No, we need to go on. Tonight we are talking about community.
Community tonight.
Yeah.
So we talked about boundaries or barriers that you put
Barriers.
between you and your addictions or that are obvious, like ways that you protect yourself from being sucked into something or getting drawn back to it, or maybe just accidentally stumbling across it last
wanna-
week. Go ahead.
Specify. We have
2 weeks
talked
ago,
before
sorry.
about the word protection being something that kind of comes up and keeps you from being able to be engaged, different than the protection Chad just used. What Chad was just now using the word protection in a different context was it's the way that you safeguard your recovery process from these outside elements that might throw you off track or pull you back out to the life that you were living before. So it is a protection, absolutely. But it's just kind of a way you kind of guard the progress that you're making so that you don't have regression.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
the right way to word
yeah,
it.
yeah, when we have protection, I mean, we're trying to keep ourselves protected from the things that
Yeah.
could overpower us, could overtake us. Which actually, that reminds me of, I think it's Ecclesiastes, where it talks about, a cord of 3 strands.
Better than one.
Yeah, and 2 is better than 1, and then it goes on. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, but it's like that. This is that idea. We want to protect ourselves. We don't want to be found alone or be tempted or be isolated with our drug of choice or the thing that we turn to. And so we have to be intentional about that to keep that stuff out. But the other piece of that is we also want to start to include other people in our recovery or in our journey. And so kind of as we start to talk about that, well, I'll come back to me. See, I got a little bit
That's
more
nice.
of the fuzzy stuff happening.
The guy formerly
know if
known
this
as
is-
Chad is returning.
Are we allowed to touch on it like that?
Oh, I don't know.
just
I don't
Get
know.
in trouble
I
again.
apologize.
It's okay. I forgive you this once.
Okay. We're
Transition
better
back.
together. That's the first one.
Oh, I hid one. That's why. There we go.
Oh.
Ah.
Okay. Good to know.
There we go.
Good to know. Okay, we just realized we didn't have any audio. Was that coming out of?
Here, we do have audio on this one, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna fix that real quick. Keep talking, Angela. Talk about something.
So sorry we didn't have audio. We didn't know. We just got informed, so that's really good. I think I need to pull that up so we can see the comments, because that's one of the reasons why we had that. And I put my phone down. So we're talking about community. We were really nice and told Justin we really appreciated it. We even talked about how we were worshiping together. I don't know if we just.
I think they heard that. I think they just didn't hear us when we went to the slide. I'll
Oh.
bet you.
Okay.
I bet they have it now. Let's see.
I don't know when we dropped out, but I appreciate that we got told.
I think we did.
We lost
We're
audio.
okay.
Okay.
So we get better together.
Here's what I was going to say. A lot of times our hurts, habits, and hang-ups actually pull us out of community, because over time, our woundedness, our reactivity, our drugs, alcohol, relationship abuse, whatever the thing is that's happening, causes people to actually set up boundaries against us, causes people to cut us off, causes people to not stay in community with us. And so we lose community as we continue to get sicker and sicker. The thing about Celebrate Recovery that I love is it takes isolated people who have let their hurts, habits, and hangups run their lives and puts them back into community where they can start kind of letting community influence the hurts, habits, and hangups that they've had. The very thing that's pulled them out of community is the reason now that we're back in this healthy, safe community where we're going to start processing those things.
Yeah.
So it's when people ask me what CR is, one of the number one things I say, it's a place for community for people who have been isolating due to their habits and hangups.
Yep. And I think that it's
I think we got it.
yeah, we did. And thank you for, I'll say thanks, Debbie.
Yes.
But thank you for letting us know that it was out. There is definitely something to it, you know, and I think about community, not just in recovery, but think about what you did. And for most of us, we did our drug of choice, or we did whatever it was around other people. So we would go to a place and there was a ritual around how we got it and what we did, and we knew the people there, and then we would go do the thing. I'm not saying that some people don't get to a place where they completely isolate with their drug of choice or with alcohol or whatever. But a lot of times what kind of made it so attractive is there was a community of people like at the bar or at the house sitting around, or
I'll
go
even
ahead.
say some of the other ones, like love and relationship addiction is around other people, and there's
Yep.
manipulation and just insecurities and just false interactions with that. if you're a codependent or in a relationship with someone, control is something that you do. Maybe you like to control when you're single or you're solo, but really control is a problem when we're trying to control other people. So that's when those habits really rub wrong, when we're in community and we're doing unhealthy coping strategies or whatever those are. To be back in community and recognize that these things have to shift so we can be in community. I can't control anymore. I can't manipulate. I can't be around my drug of choice, or I can't use that in this. That's a really important thing to kind of remember.
Yeah, and I think that's, the thing that a lot of times people talk about too is, and I'm kind of talking about the adding community, but I think people know this, and so we've got to kind of also remove ourselves from the unhealthy community. I think that's why this lesson sort of goes well, right, as we talk about boundaries or barriers or how we protect ourselves from unhealthy things, because we've got to get out of that unhealthy community. But to just leave something, to just like put our barriers up or isolate from everyone is lonely.
Yeah.
And you're a human. We're humans, and so we need people around us. And the one place that we normally found community was probably not as healthy as it could have been, and probably or may have had really bad influence on our recovery. And so you'll hear people say, "Oh, don't go around those people," or "Don't be around this," or "Don't be around that," or "Don't go to that place." And that's good, but we have to be intentional and very intentional about saying, "Hey, we're going to go do this thing. We're going to go be with these people. We're going to make an effort to be around people that are healthy." And so community is a huge part of recovery. I saw a statistic once that said like 50% of recovery was whether or not you stayed sober at a year, was like 50% of it depended on your community, how quickly and how much you engaged with it.
Yeah.
So it's a huge factor in what we do and how we kind of start to make our recovery work. So as we kind of move forward, the next point I wanted to say is like, there are tons and tons and tons of biblical examples of community. So I'll just kind of run through a few of them that pop in my head. But at the very beginning of the Bible, it talks about Adam and Eve, and God sees Adam alone as like, that's not good, right? And I use that in a lot of different contexts when I talk about it, but like, it isn't good for us to be alone. We need people around us. Now, Adam and Eve, maybe that was a different context in some ways, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't, even with God 100% there, fully with him in the garden, Adam needed another human. He needed to see somebody like him and look in their face and look in their eyes to make sense of himself. And we need that too. So if we come out of unhealthy community and we don't engage with new community, it won't be long before we fall back into it. The other thing I'll say is, it was consistent that we lived in tribes. We lived in amongst groups of people. All the Old Testament talks about that. Then we get to the New Testament and we talk about like how Jesus did discipleship. He did it with 12 disciples.
I love,
right?
We've been watching The Chosen. If you haven't watched that, I want to just do a quick plug for it.
It was good,
if I'm
man.
even allowed to. But there's a show on YouTube. I think you can actually get it on the Chosen channel now. I'm not really sure how to find it, but it's a show that was done about the people who interact with Jesus. Basically, he's calling his disciples. But I was thinking about this idea that Jesus is like the head of the step study and all these dysfunctional people are like following him and he's trying to teach them how to really embrace living a different way. I'm like, Jesus was like the original step study leader, discipling all these people and helping them really deal with their stuff, reading their mail on a regular basis. And he had to deal with all the crazy stuff too.
There's one where it's like, you already know what I'm thinking. And he's like, yeah, but I want you to tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, which again, it's like, how good is it for us to be able to talk to somebody about how we're doing or what we're thinking or what we're feeling, and then have them respond in a positive way?
Absolutely.
That's what we need. But I mean, it's definitely a biblical principle. And then even like not just the 12 disciples, but when Jesus sent the apostles out, he sent them out in twos. He didn't send them alone, because he knew that if he sends them alone, there's much more likely to be tempted. They're much more likely to be overtaken if they were to be attacked or something. But not just that, but we need support.
Yeah.
Life is hard. Recovery's hard.
I think even sometimes people think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to share all my stuff, or do I have to get a sponsor right away? Or sometimes, you build relationships in step study, but step study doesn't always come immediately. And we always encourage people to get accountability partners. And I've had a lot of people go, what is an accountability partner for? How do I use them? And the best example I can give is really early on in my recovery when I was really starting to doubt if the process would work or why should I even come. At the time, the Celebrate Recovery I went to was on a Friday night. And so this was like 2 or 3 months in when I was still skeptical. I would text a few people who I had met and say, man, I just don't even know if I want to come tonight. And all it would take in our little group, there were like 4 or 5 of us, is one to say, oh, come on, I'm going. I need it tonight. I had a rough week. Come and sit with me. And the rest of us, that codependency being leveraged for the kingdom, would go, okay, if you had a bad week, we'll come and support you, when we all needed it. But at different, maybe the next week I was having a hard week, or the third week somebody else was. But when you reach out in community, you end up kind of showing up for each other and also getting the benefit yourself. And so I think that's a huge thing, as you start to learn how to be honest, how to respond well, how to show up for each other. I mean, it just is a good benefit.
Yeah. So if I were to say, like, man, guys, I just need you really to watch tonight and like it and share the video, because I had a hard week, and it would really help me out if you did that. That pulls on a codependent's heart a little bit.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure
I was thinking about
the
trying
analogy.
it. I don't know. But I love what you're saying. No, I mean, I think
It's a little different, I think, in this context, if
I do
they're
too.
watching.
They're
But
probably,
I know a few people who are watching online who will say, hey, I've had a really rough week. Will you come over to my house, 2 people who are in their same social distancing circle, and watch CR with me? I don't want to watch it alone, or I don't want to. And so there have been we've heard of these little pockets of
Yep.
Celebrate Recovery communities where 2 or 3 people get together and watch online, and that feels like community, like togetherness,
Yeah.
like an intentional idea of putting recovery thoughts into your head and replacing some of the negative thoughts, or the kind of
Yeah.
the stuff that can spiral our brain and heart into a bad place. Making an intentional effort to bring people around us who are like-minded on a path of recovery helps our recovery process. So if that's what you're saying, I absolutely agree. On a Friday or Saturday, text someone and say, hey, you want to come over and watch CR tomorrow night with me at 6 o'clock? Then you have 2 people, and you're watching and having community, and that's how you can utilize still being in community and not being in this process alone. You can also just watch from your home if you want to, but that is an extra step if you want to use that.
The last little biblical piece that I want to throw in there is just even Jesus. You know, he knows he's going to do something hard, and he's going to the cross, and he's walking into the garden to go pray the night before he's going to be crucified, basically, and he brings 3 guys with him, right? And he says, stay up with me. Just stay awake with me. This is hard. Something hard's coming.
Yeah.
And what do? Typical Step Study Brothers. I'm just kidding. No. But it's typical of humans, right?
Humans.
We go, we
Not
don't
Step
know
Study
what's
Brothers.
happening. And so we're tired. It's late at night. And Jesus is off praying. And what do? We fall asleep.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes we let each other down. That's the reality
Humans
of
let you down.
humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we still ask for people to come. We still need people there.
Yeah.
And that's thinking about Jesus. I mean, if there's anybody who ever walked the earth who had it together and knew what was coming and knew what the struggle was and knew how to communicate with God and be engaged with the Spirit and all those things, Jesus was it. And he was still asking people to be with him in his moments where he knew it was going to be hard.
Absolutely.
And so if we want to be like, and again, I'm not trying to be too biblical with this, but I started with that because I'm like,
Yeah.
this is how it works.
Well, let's move on to the practical
We're
side.
going to move on. I'll stop. She's like, you only got 1 slide so far. You're
I'm
like 8
keeping
minutes
it-
in.
keeping it tight.
Lock it up, Chad. We need community also, just practically, right? Like if I have something break on my truck, who do I call?
Dana.
Probably. Or RT.
Oh,
or,
yes.
I mean,
Justin. There's like a whole slew of them now.
We got these guys that would come and help, right?
You know, this is what I want to say. When you said that, it made me think. Last summer, we had somebody in our ministry who had a mowing business, and he made a choice to do something beneficial for his recovery. And so he was leaving it, and we wanted to come together. And so we didn't know what we were doing at all. So we kind of took over this mowing business, and everything was breaking. If you're going to run a mowing business, you need to almost be like a small motor mechanic, because everything was breaking on a pretty regular basis. And we didn't have the best equipment to start with. But I know that there was one Saturday where we basically just said, hey community, we need your help if you know how to work on something. And I texted a picture, I might even be able to find it somewhere on there, where out on our side porch we had mowers, weed eaters, blowers, like all the things, and RT and Justin and Dana and you, and I mean, like, everybody had tools out and they were trying to fix something broken. And in my opinion, I don't know if we got anything working. I think they did. But the fact that we had...
I shot one of the weights out in the yard. We never found it. Anyway.
We might have broken things worse that day at any rate. The community that came around and said, all right, well sure, let's
jump
do
in.
this together. Even at the beginning of COVID, we found out that there were some kids in Northwest Arkansas, because the schools hadn't kind of made a plan yet, that used to be getting their meals at school that weren't getting their meals. And so that was something that weighed heavily on my heart. I pitched it to our community, our Celebrate Recovery community team, and I was just blown away and humbled at how many people in our Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church community pitched in money, pitched in prop goods, pitched in food supplies, that we were able to feed dozens of families on a repeated basis. It was really, really incredible. So much so that we still kind of have that little food pantry going and are still helping people out. I mean, community is a huge thing. And when we pull together, it's such a beautiful picture of what God designed
the body of Christ
like
to be.
To help out.
But really practically is you're going to need people.
Yeah.
You're going to need people. And honestly, when I was in my drinking, drugging, going out days, right? Like, I had people that would come get me if I needed them.
Yeah.
They would. They would show up because they all had been there.
Yeah.
Right? I had people that, there's a song, you get by with a little help from your friends, right? Like, but people knew that that's how they got by. And there was this little community around this thing that we did. And what I'm saying is CR needs to be that little community around the thing that we're doing now. We need people to show up for us.
We have sound, right?
We are also,
Okay,
we have sound. We should. It shows that we do. But we also are made to need community, to desire people. And I could talk about this for literally an hour, just about attachment. But humans are made in a way that says, hey, I don't really know how I'm doing unless I get feedback. So we need people around us to give us feedback, to say, hey.
I'm smiling at Debbie's comment.
What'd she say?
I know who you don't call. Listen, Debbie, if I need a good meal made, I call you.
We call Debbie for that. Yeah.
You gotta know who's in your community and then to leverage them.
We do call some.
Yeah.
If we want somebody to cheer for a certain football team.
There was somebody that Chad went to school with at the U of A who was not, to our knowledge, didn't have a Christian relationship, didn't have a relationship with Christ. But had a great. We were, had befriended them, and they had bought a house and they needed a plumber, and they called us and said, "Do you know a plumber?" And we knew 3. And he called and said, "Do you know an electrician?" And we knew 1. "Do you know a good mechanic?" And we knew 1. And he over the course of the time that we knew them needed multiple things, and he said, "Every time I need something, I call you because you guys seem to know
a lot of people. Yeah.
How do you know so many people?" And I said, "You know what? Everybody has hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And the beautiful part of the way Celebrate Recovery works is when we come together as a community and we not only get healed together, we can rely on each other and offer the thing that we have. Maybe you are somebody who is that electrician, is that plumber, is that musician, is that good cook, is that mechanic, is that really good. There are a few people on our
sewing,
people on our encouraging
technology
coach team.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think about like Mama Jen and Hava and a couple others who were so good at things like remembering birthdays, sending encouraging cards, sending thank you cards. It's not my gift at all. But you know what we have in our community? People who can do that and are able to reach out and do those things. And we together in community, we're specifically talking about how to basically protect your recovery process. One of the things in recovery to make your recovery, last week was barriers and protection, but the concept of the theme is 5 strategies to make your recovery work better. And one of those is the community strategy, knowing how and when to rely on your community. It's an interesting thing, but I can't tell you in the 10 years that we've been in CR, or for me even longer than that, I've moved 3 times. No kidding. I can't tell you, when you know Celebrate Recovery people, it's not our funnest thing that we do for each other, but if people have to move, you can put out a text to say who's got a truck and who can help me on Saturday morning, and you get your stuff moved. People in the world don't have that. They rent 2 men in a truck. Whatever the thing is, the idea of community coming around you to help you on your progression of recovery. If that means you have to end relationships, if that means you have to move into a new space, start a new job, If that
it
means
probably does mean those
all
things
those
for
things.
for most people that start really getting serious about recovery.
you're not
Yeah.
doing it alone. You're doing it with people who are in it with you, and we're in it with them. And giving other people opportunity to serve is a blessing for them too. So it really is all together.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're huge spokespeople of community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and you cannot do recovery, in my opinion, without community of
Yeah.
some form. And by community, I should have said this at the beginning. I mean people that know you, that you can be honest about struggling and needing help and not being okay. If it's another type of community where you have to pretend to be something else, or you have to seem to be okay, or you have to somehow like fake it, then I wouldn't consider that community. I would consider that something else.
Yeah.
But you need community that can say, I'm here with you. I see you. I know you're struggling. We all struggle. Let me come alongside you and help you out. So I'll keep moving.
I love the next slide that Chad's going to pull up, because the reality is not only that we don't do this naturally, or why it's not a natural thing, that our hurts, woundedness, habits, our life experience have actually sent us the message that we can't rely on others,
Yeah.
that we shouldn't impose, that asking for help is a hard thing, that offering help is a hard thing. Like, something specifically about hurts, habits, and hangups and woundedness in general makes community harder.
Yeah.
I mean, Chad was listening to somebody when we drive on road trips and stuff. We listen to books on tape and all kinds of stuff, and he was listening to a comedian that was just talking about embracing who we are, even our awkwardness. I've joked before about people at Celebrate Recovery that when I first came, I said to somebody, it's like the land of the misfit toys, that everybody is broken in their own unique way, but they all have
A very
all
good-
come
yeah,
together
yep.
in a way that contributes something to the other person. They bring the part that they can, and I love that about our community, that there's something sad actually about people who have pointed out, well, why can't we rely on big church, or why don't churches
Yep.
do a better job at responding when you're going through a divorce, or when you're grieving something that feels too heavy for just a community group, or when your drugs, alcohol, bad choices, sin infringes on something that feels like it's supposed to be normal church structure. A lot of times the comments we have heard is that my stuff is too big for big church, so I need another place. And while that is, in my opinion, a kind of a broken system, I love that we have this place where we can get the support that we need. That's what this community is. And I feel honored that we're a part, an arm, I guess, of New Heights Church.
Yeah.
Just like they sponsor Potter's House, just like they sponsor the Joshua Center, just like they sponsor these other outlying
things. Yep.
ministries. New Heights is good at saying, we can't be the end all, solve all the problems church, but what we do want to do is support these like almost little bubbles or communities where you can get what you need. And New Heights does a great job at supporting us. We feel really encouraged by that. But that's what our church is. That's what our Celebrate Recovery is. A place that reteaches you that community is okay to rely on, that you can ask for help, that you can receive help when somebody offers it. That was a really hard one for me.
Yeah. Receiving help.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, go. I've been talking for
no,
like
it's okay.
3 solid minutes.
Well, but that's all right. I mean, you're making great points. I think I would just add to that if I was gonna say it, I might say it a little bit
do it.
maybe more simply. But just to say no, the reason we don't do this, people in recovery, when I say we, that's what I meant. I thought I should have changed that slide just a little bit. And maybe everybody, but it's specifically recovery, is because we've been hurt.
Yeah.
You know what? Community, or the people that were supposed to be safe in our life, weren't. And so we found other ways to kind of handle our needs,
Yeah.
to handle taking care of what we needed or felt. And so we stopped reaching out to people for the need to be met, or we started reaching out to places and things that didn't meet the need correctly. Whether that's, for me, it's like I get stressed out and want to eat or something, or, love and relationship issues, or drugs or alcohol, whatever the thing is.
We temporarily use those things to comfort us because we never found comfort in community.
And we don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
Somehow something is in us kind of tells us, don't speak about that thing that hurts. And so if we find ways and I'm kind of cheating, I'm jumping ahead, but like we have to find ways to engage with community. And community, at first, every single time, I don't know, maybe there's a few people, I don't know very many people that come to CR and right off the bat are like, oh yeah, this feels natural. This is good. This is right on. This is, because it's not really that natural at times. Right? We have structured prayers. We have these groups with all these rules, which are all there for good reasons. Don't get me wrong.
It feels definitely awkward at first. Okay,
but
we have 2 slides.
I know, we're almost done.
In 2 minutes.
And this will go really fast. I promise. If I can find the right thing. Oh, there it is.
Good.
Oh, there we go. We're about to be there. See all this time. So how do you rebuild community? And I probably should have said this, give it a little more time, but you just dive into it. We have to push through the awkwardness of it. We don't really get a choice. And I would say, like I said, 50% of recovery is community. And so I don't think you really get a choice on whether or not you're going to have community. If you're a human, you're going to be around somebody, right? And so you have to dive into it. You have to say, I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to get some accountability. I'm going to go to the thing. I'm going to make it the thing.
I think those are the practical steps, though, to how to rebuild. We talked about this a few weeks ago, that you first come to large group. And once your body goes, okay, this is still awkward and a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to do the next thing, you go to the newcomer group. Some people do that on the same night. Then you come back, you go to OpenShare. You start using OpenShare the way it was designed to be used, to not only start sharing your own stuff, but to hearing the process and the journey of other people. In that share and listen, community starts to be built. If you're only listening, you're not contributing yet to community. If you're only sharing and not paying attention to what others are sharing, you're trying to contribute, but you're not taking the benefit of listening to other people.
Yeah.
The important part of community is not only that we're telling our stories so others can benefit from them, and we're telling them and being responded to, that helps us, but also that we're listening to other people tell their stories. That is what bonds us together. Things like OpenShare are designed not only for the talking, but also for the listening. Then so those are the kind of steps. Then step study. Then what Chad pitched last week or the week before. Then writing your testimony, writing your chronological testimony, and sharing it in a group builds community. Let somebody in the seat go, wow, if he just got up there and shared his testimony, and I heard his life story, maybe that healing is available for me as well. I can't tell you how many people I've heard, even some of you who were watching, who said, I heard so-and-so's testimony, and that's when I knew I needed to come to CR. That's when it started to shift in my heart. And so those are the steps to choose to utilize the community that's available.
I almost feel like the 12 steps are designed to help you just build healthy community.
Yeah.
To kind of know what it is and how to do it. And then, so I'll jump to the last slide, and it's kind of a no-brainer, but I wanted to add it because I don't think that it's, I don't think this is like, I don't really have an answer to it. What if I don't rebuild community?
You stay stuck.
Well, you're gonna either, I think you have 2 choices. You'll stay stuck and you'll keep relapsing over and over and over and over and over, or you'll just get really, and I've seen people do this in our program, but other programs too, where they're just really white knuckling it and bitter and mad that they're relapsing and mad that
their recovery's not working.
And it's something, then they start blaming everything else in the world, and
I'll ask
and maybe they'll stay sober or whatever, but they're just like angry about it. And I'm like, if we don't find a way to find, because community is where we find joy. If we don't find a way to find some joy and meaning and purpose and sense of belonging, man, it's really hard to stay sober.
If somebody's been at CR for a while and they say, man, I'm stuck and this just isn't working for me, I will say, well, how was your step study? Oh, well, step study wasn't really for me. Well, do you share an OpenShare? Well, I don't always go to OpenShare. Well, do you call your sponsor? Well, it's just really hard for me to ask people. Okay, you have just told me why you are still stuck.
Yeah.
Go to OpenShare. Sadly, we don't have it right now, but we will again in the future.
It can't be that far off, you guys. We've got to be getting back together soon.
Even at this point, if we wear masks, you can still listen to somebody while they're wearing a mask, sharing, whatever it is. The idea here is that there are steps in place that are great steps that have been proven in people's lives to work, in mine, in Chad's, in the lives of others. Yeah. And it's hard to accept that the process works, but if you're willing to work it, it really does. You just have to take those steps to utilize the community that's available.
The whole teach tonight is basically saying you need community, right? There are 100 reasons, but I can't say it any stronger. Out of everything we're going to say over the next 10 weeks, or the 5 lessons, right? Community is integral. It's key. It's the most important piece. If you don't have community, I just don't know how you really do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you really go forward and kind of make this work. And so, man, community is one of those things that if you don't have it, recovery doesn't work, life doesn't really work.
I feel too like it's a little bit hard. We decided to start talking about the 5 things. This is more of a Chad talk, so he's kind of leading out on these. The 5 strategies to line your recovery up to work better in a season when community is hard to do, and in a season where we don't have readily available open chairs and step studies. And so tuck this away, put it in your pocket. And if something tonight made you just either A, really appreciate your community, we'd love to, in the next song we're about to kick it back over to Justin, hear just a shout out that you're grateful for the community that you're in and that it's been a benefit. Or maybe you're missing community or longing for community and you want to share that. We'd love to hear that as well. If you want to take a blue chip during this time, feel free to just write blue chip. You don't even have to tell us what it's for. You can if you feel comfortable. And if you want us to mail you a chip, if you've asked for one, we'd love to. We'll message you to get your address so we can drop that in the mail and you can get it this week. So let's kick it over to Justin. Any final thoughts?
Nope.
Let's close with
Yeah.
Justin.
Led me out of the desert, brought me into his streams, river of living water, turned my bitter into sweet, all my burdens lifted, took the shackles off my feet. There's no sound louder than a captive set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness and let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. There is joy in the morning, springing up in my soul. There's a life worth living, because he calls me his own. There's a hallelujah at the sweet victory. There's no sound louder than a captive set free. No, there's no sound louder than a captive set free. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. You are my deliverer, the freedom I'm living in. You are my deliverer, you are my promised land. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. So let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Sing of his promises evermore. Pour out your thankfulness, let it overflow. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
Well done.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well,
It is 8 o'clock. We got to right into
we're wrapped. It's
Serenity
not 8
Prayer.
o'clock. It's 7 o'clock. My
Oh,
computer just
sorry.
didn't change its time. I apologize, you guys. That's me. It's my computer's fault. I did that.
We
All
were
right.
on Florida time on our.
We're doing the Serenity
Software.
Prayer. Here it comes at
Right
you
now.
right now. Oh, well, in just a second.
Hey guys, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with alcohol and lust, and my name's Gary.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with anger and depression. My name is Jonathan.
And I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with food issues and codependency, and I'm Sarah. And this is Jack.
Hey guys, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with low self-esteem and the grief of the divorce, and my name is Daniel.
Hi, I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I struggle with codependency. My name is Abe.
Hi, I'm Janelle.
And I'm Artsy. And I'd like to say hi to Forever Family. Looking forward to seeing all of you again real soon. Please join us in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change,
The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time.
Enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is.
Not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will.
So that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
There's
It's good to see all those faces.
That's our
man.
community.
Yeah.
We love you guys. We miss you guys. We look forward to possibly having some progress to at least have a date where maybe we'll start some step studies or some once a week open share groups or something. We'll let you know. Please be praying for us as we make some pretty hard decisions to bring our community back and also keep everybody safe.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week,
Thanks, y'all.
Sundays at 6.